It's smack in the middle of the month of August 2025, 15th day in the month. I'm Mike, good morning and welcome. It's 26 degrees here in Lagos, and it's been a cool weather all through. Some people must be saving up on a lot of their electricity. Isn't that the case, Kayla?
Yes, and we're very happy. Two things we're saving on in this weather: sunscreen and electricity. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily. I'm Kayla Magwa. It's 22 degrees right here in the nation's capital, and it's a Friday. Now, Ayo, before we begin, I want you to be able to use this opportunity to reiterate something that we've heard the police and Federal Safety Corps talk about. It's raining, the grounds are slippery. The amount of accidents that we're seeing in the nation's capital are very scary. Please be a little bit careful when you're driving. The roads are slippery right now, okay? So we so many cars in gutters and all over the city center. It's not a good look. It's also not safe for you. You want to get somewhere, so please take it easy to get to your destination. Ayo, I was listening to the morning brief, and that last topic, Ayo. The one about, did you watch? When I saw the video, stop laughing. When I saw that video online, I was in shock, because we don't have prom culture. Although I had a prom, but we had to wear the school uniform for the prom, and we had to do it within the school grounds. It was so well organized and so disciplined, So when I saw that video of people coming in with luxury cars and everyone was looking, I was listening to all the conversations, and I didn't know what to make of it, because initially my thought was, well, it's young people, it's a different world, they're learning what they're seeing abroad. Because when you see prom ceremonies abroad now, it's also a big to-do, with some show of wealth and things like that. So I don't know what to make of it. Maybe I can piggyback off what your thoughts are on those extravagant displays of wealth that we're seeing with young people, with the permission of parents and the permission of the schools as well.
You mean with the funding of the parents? Because there are those who have actually said, Kayla, that this whole peer pressure thing, it doesn't just stop with the kids. Some parents also are intimidated by their peers, and how that works, it beats all of my imagination altogether. I am still finding it difficult to understand it. You have lived your life. Don't live the life you didn't live when you were growing up through your kids. You are destroying theirs, because if for whatever reason, God forbid, things don't eventually go the way they expect in their lives, they have not built emotional resilience to encounter or to deal with any issue in the future that they are going through. And even the topic before that, Kayla, was that of the little kids that were being, that were being, I don't know, the word is not abused. I was telling my colleagues in the MCR when the morning brief was going on, that, you know the term I used? I said child traumatic vandalization. I have no word for it, because the word abuse is too abysmal to describe what we have done to those kids. I don't even know how we think that, and it's still the same thing. It's the parents that took those children, their children, to be abused. 20, 30 years down the line, what have we done to these kids? Do we have any idea? Well, gratefully, NAPTIP has stepped in, and NAPTIP says we need to take the parents to classrooms to lecture them about their lives. Trust me, part of the reason is because the Child Rights Act is not as active as it ought to be. Because if the Child Rights Act was as active as it ought to be, those parents don't have those children anymore. In other climes, we talk about other climes like it's some heaven. In those other climes, you don't have children anymore. The moment any such thing happens, you don't have children anymore. The children have become the property of the state, and the state is happy to take care of them. So what are we talking about here? So I'm not sure we really understand as a people the things that are bothering this. Kayla, are the issues that I consider we should be talking about. We should be ramming down our own throats. We should be ramping up. Because these are the real developmental issues. Human capital development. kids and secondary school students. Anyway, I don't know. But those are some of my thoughts, Kayla.
I know, indeed, it was really troubling to see that. And you know, when the arrest was being made, the people from the church, they were cheering their pastor along. You know, it's just it's troubling. It's troubling. They'll try to make it look like there's a war against the church. No, anyway. Look at them. They were cheering their pastor along as though there's some kind of persecution. We're persecuting the pastor. The police are persecuting the pastor. No. No, it'll change. I believe that things will change. I believe that the more we talk about these things, the more they come to the fore, because these things have been going on for many years. They weren't people filming. So it's good news. We're growing. We're getting to where we are picking up on these issues and actually bringing them to the fore. We had quite a busy week, by the way, right here in the nation's capital, and we're going to be talking about a lot of those things that happened during the week. And joining us for that conversation, PDP chieftain Dan Olasi joins us this morning. Thank you so much for being with us. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yes, it's been a while.
It's been a while, actually.
I've been?
Almost 2 years now.
Almost 2 years? How have you been?
This is my first time in your Abuja office. I used to have programs.
Yes, because you used to be in the Lagos office. I used to see you with interviews in the Lagos office.
Yes, it's Lagos office.
Well, welcome to Abuja.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right, let's start off with a few of the things that we started talking about, some of the trending stories during the week. Let's start off with that. I don't know if you saw the video. I doubt if you saw it. I don't know if you did. So there's this prom culture abroad, and they've started doing it in Nigeria, where kids in secondary school, when they're passing out, first of all, there's that whole show of money, and then we now saw extravagant displays of wealth. And then after that, we're now seeing another story of a church where children were being brought and were being flogged by the pastor. Are we playing with the younger generation?
Well, I will make a summary by telling you that unfortunately, this country is not a function of statistics. This is the only country in the world where 1 + 1 could be 10, could be 100, and people sign underneath it. And it's pretty unfortunate because we should be in a position now to be using the power of example instead of the example of power. That's a very dangerous thing that is happening. Authority race in a regimented formality that you're here because of some authority giving you reference the function you perform. It's not any wishful thinking. That's what you do on a day-to-day basis, and it's appreciated by people. And that's an authority you exercise in informing the public, and that's good work. But others inform the public by stealing. They take vows of unsurpassed devotion to stealing money. That is why we are where we are. Every day, like you were telling somebody before this program started, we are repeating the same thing time and time again, that in a country like Nigeria, they can't even tell you how many we are. If you're married to one woman, you know God has given you 2 or 3 or 4 children. If you have 2 wives, you exactly know the number of children you have to plan for it. Can this country exactly tell you how many we are? It's a whole, unparalleled falsity that we are parading because population is used to share money. And so it's just unfortunate that this is, I don't see anything changing soon because when I see that authorities, rest on regimented formality. So in this regimented formality, we also have a tendency towards having some kind of reflective instinct towards self-preservation. In that self-preservation, some people will be stoking paranoia. And once you start stoking paranoia, you set fears into people. And it becomes unfortunate. That's how our country has gone for a very long time. And we're still practicing it.
Do you feel like, is there a way that we can rejig our value system in this country? Or are we too far gone?
Well, to be honest with you, I believe, even though I was telling somebody not quite long ago that Nigeria has become an embodiment of, self-doubt. Nobody believes anything anymore. When you hear a president or a governor or somebody telling you something, go and look at it. 99% of it is not true. It's not true because in a country where we have 774 local governments, my dear, water is not running anywhere. So if people in authority also have control to air that you and I breathe, we would have died a long time ago. Ordinary water. If you have good water for people, it will guarantee good health, because, water goes with a lot of waterborne diseases, goes with a lot of things. But they don't even have conscience to think that ordinary water that won't cost you much, their citizens will not take it. So we have fundamental problems, which I think, I'm one of those who don't lose hope. But like you said, it's becoming increasingly obvious whether we are really going in the in the proper direction. Yes, I pray that someday, because we have a history in this country of performance. A time there was, if you were from the northern part of the country, you will hear of formidable. As of today, nobody will show you a single portion of land, plot of land owned by Ahmadu Bello. Not a building to be shown you, this belongs to Ahmadu Bello. And he was premier here for more than 12 years. From Eastern region, Dr. M.I. Okpara was premier for a long time. Nobody, when he died, people contributed money, including my humble self, to bury him in Umuahia. The same thing with Chief Awolowo. In fact, he was the only one you could say had one or two properties. That was selfless service in this country that people emulated. Is this happening today? That when a governor is leaving a government house to a function in the city where he runs the affairs of the state, about 13, 17 SUVs are on the loan, almost all of them empty. That recklessness, executive recklessness, combined with legislative recklessness, we have a long way to go. And that informs for a revolution. But a revolution not, because when you use the word revolution, people think it's a military coup. No. We have to decide amongst others that enough is enough. We have to change the course of history.
Well, let's talk politics, because you are a PDP chieftain.
Yes.
This zoning that's been done right now, do you think that the zoning plan of the People's Democratic Party will help them wrestle power away from the APC?
Well, I'm a member of the zoning committee.
Yes.
And that's why I came into town yesterday, and we had a beautiful meeting yesterday. We had to do a lot of autopsy, all forms of autopsy. When you had the control of about 26 states, and suddenly you fall down to about 10. That's a lot of informative diary to look into. What are the problems pursuant to what is going on? And I think we have a new resourcefulness, enthusiasm amongst members that something has to be different. And if something has to be different, we have to be different from APC. But unfortunately, like I said, there's no APC, there's no PDP. When you look at the two parties, you don't know where somebody is and when he lives. Look at Delta State, the whole state.
Yes, but Chief, you've not answered my question.
Yeah,
because the question has been about the zoning. If PDP zones to the south, what southerner are you going to field that will be able to beat Tinubu?
Well, there's no constitutional provision for about zoning.
I know that. But it's a gentlemanly, it's an arrangement between the ruling class.
What the Constitution says is about giving everybody a sense of belonging. They call it a federal character. I think that's the definition of a sense of belonging, a federal character. If you are there, let somebody else be there. It's not only you. So presently, for some time now, it does appear there's a relationship. The North goes for 8 years, the South goes for 8 years, unwritten. So every party appears to be wanting to observe that. So as it is now, Tinubu is doing his first 4 years, if he's lucky to finish the 4 years, because the rate of crisis and poverty and hunger in the country, I just hope nothing traumatic happens. So if that is the case, therefore PDP has to get a candidate from the South. Which South has to be determined internally. Like I said again, to give everybody a sense of belonging, federal character. The Southwest has had presidency, this is their second presidency. The South-South has had Jonathan. So I think it's the turn of the Southeast to produce a president. And I believe...
Are you reaching out to Peter Obi?
Well, I believe first, without trying to particularize, if the PDP zones presidently to the Southeast and a Southeasterner comes out to be president of this country, we would have achieved one thing. That would be the end of the Civil War, officially the end of the Civil War. That would be the first time the people from that zone is given a sense of belonging. Yeah, we fought a war, losing hundreds of thousands of lives on both sides. Now you are back. You are part of the system.
Are you reaching out to Peter Obi?
Well,
Because the word on the
this,
street is that when Jonathan was, I have no proof of this,
yes.
but that when former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan was approached, that he said, go and bring back Atiku and Peter Obi to the PDP if you want me to join you. So two things. Are you reaching out to Peter Obi? Are you reaching out to Atiku Abubakar? And are there calls for former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan to be the flag bearer for your party?
Well, I can't talk of Atiku Abubakar because he's left PDP now. He's resigned.
Okay.
So he's become irrelevant as long as PDP is concerned. Peter Obi, we're trying to see whether we can get him back into the party. And if we get him back, it will be a big advantage. You know, where Igbos have a saying that where you see a small child crying and pointing hands, if his mother is not there, his father is there. So if majority of people in this country are looking towards Peter Obi, there must be some qualities he has that majority of citizens believe, if translated for good use, this country will be a lot better than it is today.
What about Goodluck Ebele Jonathan? Well,
he has done 6 years, and I wish him the best of luck. If he wants to get back to the party, it will be an easy sell for Tinubu, because he has nothing else to offer.
You think so?
Yes, he has nothing else to offer. Well, see, when you run a government for 6 years, what was spectacular in his 6 years? He's a PDP. I met him more than 5 times when he was president. I don't want to discuss that. But there has to be something extraordinary you offer as a leader. Because leadership is about results, not speech-making, you know, creating enmity. You have to have a reference point. Because if you look at Peter Obi, go to Anambra, 8 years of governorship, he translated education and health. These are achievements you cannot see overnight. But when you look at the antecedent results from WAEC or NEC and see where Anambra is, then you will know what it wasn't achieved overnight.
Before I bring in Ayo, you know, I thought your answer was going to be different, because a lawyer yesterday sent me a section of the Constitution, 137 subsection 3 of the Constitution. It says a person who is sworn in to complete the term for which another person was elected as president shall not be elected to such office for more than a single term. And he was explaining to me that even though many people may be calling for Goodluck Ebele Jonathan to run again, that he may not be eligible to, based on this section of the Constitution. But of course, it's subject to a lot of interpretation. So you don't think he's going to bring anything to the table? If he does,
yes, let me tell you why. You know, I just made a reference here. The person who is president of Nigeria today is a very strategically thinking person. Anybody who takes him for granted is a political fool. I'm one person who doesn't take Tinubu for granted. And you need an astute, you know, God-fearing, hard-working politician to really start thinking of how he will face him. And therefore, to that direction, Peter Obi becomes relevant. Because a lot of people in this country accept him, for one reason or the other. They accept him. As immaculate, he's honest, he's hard-working. He's one politician that has never had a serious accusing finger towards him.
All right. My colleague in Lagos has a few questions for you. Go ahead, Ayo.
Thank you, Kayla. My question, sir, will go more in the direction of the opposition politics that is going on. Over time, particularly since 2015, it would seem like the opposition had dwindled over time. And there are those who are saying that the PDP may not ever be able to offer that kind of opposition, formidable opposition against maybe the APC for now and whoever else will come on in the next future. So there are those who are wondering, sir, for you, how formidable is this whole ADC coalition and some others that may spring up in the coming months?
You know, you can see the ADC thing is part of desperation. It is part of desperation because in that concept called ADC, you see PDP people there, Labour people there, and even some APC people who are disgruntled for whatever reason are also there. But they have not been officially registered as a party. To the best of my knowledge, if they have been registered, it must be something that happened last night. It's still in the formative stage. But I'm not talking about that. I'm a PDP. They are leave PDP. I resigned entirely from politics. So I believe that if there is proper organization, even though Tinubu is a very strong strategic politician, it will be a lot easier to start thinking seriously how to, bring him down. But like I said, it's going to be a very hard exercise, requiring very serious thinking and planning, because seriously, they don't have any reference to make. 2 years now, what reference, serious, can they make? Because after 8 years of Muhammad Buhari's disaster, there was virtually no governance. And I have to give, one kudos to President Tinubu. I'm not in his party, but I will say that after the disaster that was President Muhammad Buhari, any other person who took over the governance of this country would have found the same problem he's passing through. The only difference will be the methodology with which you want to solve some of the problems, which I don't think they are really very exact in what they want to do. They have managed to stabilize the economy like Dr. Mrs. Okonjo-Iweala said, and is one brilliant woman I have very high respect for. So if she makes that open statement, then we'll have to consider something good is happening. But to what extent has this impacted on the common person in this country? That's a question the government has to answer.
But then the parties themselves, the ADC and those who have sentiments for the ADC and similar other coalitions, continue to, of course, foment their own battles and all. Do you think they could have, given the people who are part of this coalition, the Chief Rotimi Amechi, Atiku Abubakar, Rufai, Rauf Aregbesola, David Mark, and so many others like them, don't you think there is cause for concern, even for the PDP, given the challenges that the PDP has been having over time? Don't you think with their political capital, political machinery and all, there is something of concern?
Well, when I started talking, I made a reference to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He's a strategic politician. And you can use the word strategy in different, perspectives. We have different meanings for different people, And you can see how he's gradually dismantling even the PDP. Look at what happened in Delta. The whole government, the whole members of the National and State Assembly left. Almost the same thing happened in Akwa Ibom State. But you see the danger of the country called Nigeria. It is supposed that if you leave your party, especially if you're a member of the National Assembly and State Assembly, without any division in your party, you will resign your office. But have they tried to implement that part of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? That is why I said that this country is not a function of statistics. It's only place 1 + 1 could be 10, could be 100, and we appear to be complacent with it. Until now that hunger and starvation has really crippled into the Nigerian society, that people are really seriously thinking. And I think this serious thinking is part of the reason why the ADC was formed. But the question would be, who are the people who formed this ADC? Majority of them have been in power. Some have been governors for 8 years, ministers for 8 years. What reference could they bring to bear now on the new Nigerian situation? That is the question Nigerians will be able to ask in the next couple of months before 2027.
One of the things that's also played out, and I think you have also referenced that in a way, is that there's been cross-party efforts, particularly even within the PDP, drawing some from here and there, and some other people leaving. So do you see any past cross-party returns or high-profile re-entries that could affect the fate of the APC from the PDP in particular? Do you really see the PDP pulling any surprise in the build-up to the 2027 elections?
PDP has one advantage. They had been in power for almost 16 years in this country, so it's not, they don't have a problem of introductory rhetoric. Most people in this country, even if we were born 10 years ago, we know there is a party called People's Democratic Party. All we are trying to do from our meeting yesterday and 2 weeks ago, we had the founders meeting, we had NEC meeting, trying to really reorganize towards the future, which is not what I would say publicly on television. But I can assure you that the PDP is working hard, working very, very hard, with eyes towards the Nigerian people. If we had made mistakes in the past, we are in a position to rectify it. Because the example they say is the best teacher. Historically speaking, we have an idea what to do. And a lot of young people are coming into the party. And yesterday we saw, very significant changes in what had been going on in the past. Most of our governors are thinking anew. trying to do one thing different from the other. So I hope that we'll be able, by the grace of God, to give this country a new initiative, a new hope, realistic hope, not umbrella hope, that if there is heavy downpour, the umbrella might break down. A hope that Nigerian people can depend on for the future.
That sounds like you are thinking of rebranding the PDP from the umbrella, but that's not the issue here. There are those who are looking at the fact that the challenges that the PDP is encountering now date back at least 14 years, from 2011, spiraled in 2015 into what it became. And once it left federal power, the PDP has not been able to recoup itself. Now, for anyone to consider that the PDP has anything to offer now, one would expect that the PDP would take up the function of playing opposition politics and offering alternative perspectives to what is currently going on in Nigeria. While you are squabbling, while the PDP is squabbling with its internal issues, we expect that the PDP, as a strong opposition, a formidable opposition, should be offering alternative views that Nigerians can latch onto. We aren't having or hearing any of that yet.
Well, I don't know exactly what you want them to be doing, short of, having press interviews like I'm doing. I've had interviews on AIT, I had on Arise Television and so many other forums. So many other party people are doing it. And we are happy we are doing it because from what happened yesterday and about 2-3 weeks ago, we can see that a lot more people are interested in what is going on in PDP, especially those who are getting dissatisfied with the lack of hope in the present administration. So it is not what is going to happen overnight, but I can assure you, in the next couple of months, before 2027, something, there has to be a resurgence of a new PDP. Yesterday, we saw a new emergence of that kind of a resurgence. Again, if they do the rightful thing, by zoning offices where they should be zoned with a view to energizing people around those areas to support the party for the future. That's very important.
All right, well, there's never enough time to discuss Nigeria's politics and finish. It's not impossible to totally finish it. So I'm just going to get you to say your parting words to the Nigerian people and those who are looking at the PDP and saying, no, this place is dead now. No faith in its ability to be a formidable opposition. It has been a very disappointing run. What do you say to the Nigerian people?
Well, I will appeal to my countrymen and women. We have 10 governors. And let them go to the states where we're governing. Excellent. Excellent work is being done there. Go to Bauchi, for instance. Go to Enugu State. It's about the best performing governor in this country. But you don't know what informs people when they move from this party to that party, like it happened in Akwa Ibom and Delta. Yes. It's unfortunate. I've been talking with the governors. And what they are seeing where they have moved to, it's unfortunate. They feel engaged in a spectacle. They can't go forward or
well, you're saying those who have defected are regretting doing
that?
Well,
because there has been a lot of pressure on them before they moved. When I started talking, I said that this government is led by a very strategic politician. And I use the word strategic to mean a lot of things.
Okay.
And I'm not one person who takes President Tinubu for granted. So if we have to fight for power, we have to fight for it very seriously.
PDP chieftain Dan Olasi, thank you very much for being with us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
We're going on a short break, and when we come back, we've got to be talking about education, NEL Fund, to be precise. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now we're switching gears and talking education. And joining us for that conversation is the MD CEO of NEL Fund, the Nigeria Education Loan Fund, Akintunde Sawyer. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Kayla. It's great to be here this morning.
All right, so let's talk about it. I'm looking at the figures. 86.3 billion in student loans to 450,000 beneficiaries, 760,000 applications so far. Recovering the funds after graduation is a question that I think I want to know. How do you, because initially you said you were going to create a portal that was going to link employees to the schools or to the loans that they've taken? I don't know if that portal has been launched yet. And then maybe you can just speak on the plans to recover these funds from these kids when they graduate from school.
Okay, so thank you. There's a couple of things that are a little bit mixed up there.
Okay.
So let me start with the method of recovery. We are going to have a database that is going to be NIN based. That database is the database that employers will consult to see whether the person that they are about to employ has taken a loan from the NEL fund. If they've taken a loan from the NEL fund, then the obligation on the employer is to make a deduction of 10% from the salary or wages of the employee who has a loan from NEL fund and refund that 10% of their income, if you like, to the NEL fund. That's entirely separate from the initiative that we are also going to be rolling out, which is an initiative that connects loanees, people who have taken the loans and are now looking for work, with the opportunities for work. So we're going to create a separate portal which attracts work from different government agencies, from the private sector, from anyone who has a vacancy, part-time, full-time, any type contract, any type of work. We want to centralize it into a platform so that everybody who's taken a loan, and perhaps people who haven't taken a loan, can go to that platform and find the types of jobs that they may be looking for.
Okay.
That's separate to the recovery element of the loan.
That's a lot of work, and this process is purely digitized.
Well, it has to be. You know, there are students and then people seeking employment all over the country. When you're seeking employment, you don't have the funds to go around looking for work necessarily. So it has to be digitized. We're in a digital world now. The more we can do digitally, the easier on ourselves and on the system. But yes, the answer to your question is that it will be entirely digitized. Kayla.
I saw a conversation about banks and schools who are withholding these funds. So loans have been disbursed, and then somehow they're able to keep holding. And I remember reading up something you said people like that. You know, your agency is going to be looking out for those kinds of situations and dealing with them.
Yeah.
What's this? How did this happen? What's going on?
Okay. Very, very simply, it was a simple thing to happen. We kicked off this scheme on the 24th of May, 2024. That's the day that people were able to apply for this loan. By the time that opportunity came, some people had already paid their fees. They were already in the institution. They'd already paid their fees. Who knows how they got the funds? Some may have borrowed it from other places. Their parents may have borrowed. But the scheme came into being and people applied. When we deemed it necessary or deemed it appropriate for us to approve those people's loans, we approved it. We then made the payments as promised to the institutions. The institutions in some cases already had the funds because the student had paid already, which meant that this was a double payment. In certain instances, the student hadn't paid. The institution set a deadline for registration or for examinations, as they do. They've never changed that. That's always been the case. So when the students applied for the loan, it takes time for us to process the loan. By the time we made the payment to the institution, sometimes the students had already paid because they were trying to meet a deadline. That then took us into an entirely new situation where double payments had been made to institutions on behalf of one particular student. That student had made a payment, or someone had made a payment on their behalf. We had also made a payment on their behalf. The agitation from the students then became, there's a double payment here for me. Can you refund the money to me? The institutions are obliged, when there's a double payment, to refund the money to the students, not to NEL fund, to the student. This happened in some cases very quickly. In other cases, there were delays. Students generally don't have money. They become agitated if they are expecting money and it doesn't come.
So where do things stand on that right now?
Well, there is no stand because some institutions are paying and making refunds quickly. Others are a bit more slow. But in terms of where we're going to a place in the future, in the very near future, where we're going to be able to synchronize or harmonize, if you like, the application deadlines. So people have to apply by a particular date. The institutions also have to set deadlines that align. What this basically means is that we're moving to a place where there'll be no double payments.
My colleague in Lagos has a few questions for you. Go ahead, Ayo.
Thank you so much, Kayla. One major question that comes to my mind, sir, is how we carry the students themselves along in all of these. I talk about this particular issue of trust or a deficiency of it from time to time. In urban Nigeria, in rural Nigeria, in suburban Nigeria, the trust quotient, so long as it has anything to do with government, there is that petrification, that hesitation on the part of several people, young people in particular, about it. How are you dealing with that one?
Okay, Ayo, you know, generally in life, if you want to trust somebody or you want them to trust you, the only way you can have it happen is if you make a promise and you deliver on that promise. If I ask you to trust me, it doesn't mean anything unless, of course, I make a promise to you that I'm going to do such and such by such and such a date to such and such a degree. If I do that, you begin to have some trust in what I'm asking you to do, which is to believe in me. This is a process. The building of trust is a process. I run the Nigeria Education Loan Fund. I do not run the government, but I understand that over years, over decades, there's trust deficit between government and citizens. And by the way, it's not just in Nigeria. The deficit of trust between citizens of a nation and the political leaders or the government of that nation is there. It just happens that in different countries, that trust deficit is there to different degrees. What we have to do at NELFund is make promises and keep those promises. That's what we have to do. And generally, across government, I'm sure that, you know, under this administration, one thing that I have certainly noticed is that when pronouncements are made by ministers, by other members of the executive of this nation, there is a delivery or a deliberate attempt to deliver. I know that this administration has taken very seriously the issue of measures, ensuring that KPIs, key performance indicators, are met by every ministry, department and agency to ensure that, that promises are kept. The other thing I will tell you is that at the NELFund, we have a particular interest in the trusting, which is why we publish our numbers, our disbursement numbers, our application numbers, our registration numbers every single day. Monday to Sunday, we publish our numbers. We do it for another reason, okay? Because this law, this initiative is going to require the public to contribute at some point in the future to help it be sustainable. Nobody's going to contribute to a leaking bucket, okay? So we try to say, this is what we have, this is what we're expending, this is how we're doing it. Challenge us if you want to. If you think there are funny things going on, tell us or tell relevant agencies. Because if we don't create trust in this agency in particular, there will be no contribution from others, or there will be no participation from the private sector upon which this particular initiative is dependent.
You know, I'd like you to give us numbers. Information available to us says that as of last month, July, NELFund has reported about more than 600,000, about 645,000 plus applications, with 396,000 plus students benefiting, and ranging around 73.2 billion naira disbursed, and about accounting for tuition and upkeep. Can you confirm if these numbers are true, and what were the numbers before now, and how has that helped the tertiary education level for students in particular?
Okay, thank you, Ayo. I can confirm that those numbers were true. Those numbers were true. They are no longer true. The numbers that we have today 742,000 students have registered. They have been to our portal, www.nelf.gov.ng, and have registered an interest in taking the loan and have been cleared as people who potentially could apply. We've had 735,000 as of this morning who have actually applied for the loan. Basically, that means that they've been cleared and invited to make an application, and they have pressed the button to say, I apply for this loan. Okay? The numbers of students who have benefited, who you can describe as beneficiaries, who've either had their school fees paid or they've had their school fees and stipend paid to them, and the stipend is done installmentally, is 449,000. So the 386,000 is an old number. It's 449,000. We're growing these numbers on a daily basis. The applications are growing by 3,000, 3,500 per day. Okay, and in terms of the funds, let me tell you what the actual numbers are today, because they've moved on from the ones that you just provided for us. 47 billion naira has been paid to 218 institutions at tertiary level owned by federal or state governments, in Nigeria. So universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education have received 47 billion naira from the NEL fund.
Just so we can get this clear, what's the turnaround time when someone applies?
Okay, so very quickly, let me just finalize on that point. 38 billion has been paid in stipends, upkeep, pocket money. So we've actually disbursed a total of 86 billion.
It's 6.3.
I just want to put it on the record so that we're clear on where we are. The turnaround time is 30 to 45 days. However, it's subject to meeting our process criteria. We're not working to a deadline to pay people. We're working to a process that is robust, entirely auditable, and and we can account for it. So I'll give you an example. When the process goes through, it takes within our system 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks to process it in our system.
Okay.
Then we send it to the institution to say, are these students who applied to us remotely? We've never met them. Are they really your students? Are they really doing the course that they say they're doing? Is this really the cost of the course? Is this something we should give them a loan for? The institution, the school, now has to revert and confirm to us with a signed document that these are indeed our students, these are the courses they're undertaking, this is the cost of the course. And when they revert to us, only then do we then go back into an internal process to check that everything is accurate, what they return to us is indeed makes sense, and then we begin a process which again takes another 2 to 3 weeks. But if there are any issues with any individuals or any institutions in that process, we will not pay until we make sure that it's sorted out. So I know your question was very direct. My answer was a bit convoluted. However, it's important to remember that we are disbursing public funds. We must disburse public funds responsibly.
I know that there's a probe going on right now, the House of Representatives and the ICPC, and of course you've talked about it earlier. It's about that double payment and the collusion that is alleged going on. Alleged collusion. So as we wrap up, just your final words. This probe is ongoing and it is public funds accountability. We can trust you.
So look, whenever you're managing public funds, they must always be subject to probity. There's a probe going on. There'll be another one after that, and one after that. Wherever you have money, you have to keep a very close eye on it. So my last few words on this topic is we must all be vigilant. We must all watch what's going on with this. Let's keep a close eye on it. The people we're catering for are the future leaders of Nigeria. How we behave towards them, how we treat them, what we pronounce, if we do what we say we're going to do, has an effect, not just on their day-to-day lives, but on their own attitude when they get into leadership.
Indeed.
Let's all be responsible. Let's do things properly.
Mr. Akintunde Sawyer.
Hey, sorry, Kayla.
Mr. Akintunde Sawyer, MD CEO of NEL Fund, the Nigeria Education Loan Fund. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Kayla. Thank you, Ayo. Thanks for having me here. And let's keep going. We need to make this country great again.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Well, that's our show this morning and indeed this week. Thank you all very much for letting us be a part of your week and bring you some sunshine every morning. I'm Kayla Megwa. It's Friday. Don't let your freak flag fly or whatever. Be safe. I will see you soon. Have a great weekend ahead.
And above all, keep Nigeria both in your prayers and in your thoughts. I'm Ayo Makinde. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.